Okay, we'll call to order this October the 9th, 2019 meeting of the Franklin County Commission. Roll call.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Present.
Commissioner Waymire?
Present.
Chair Howard?
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson? Commissioner Dunn?
Present.
If you'd all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation that will be led by Pastor Mark Hutton of the Westminster Presbyterian Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning. Let us pray. Divine Creator, as we feel the chill in the air and notice the leaves changing their colors, we give you thanks for the way that you continue to move and create in this world. Pray that we will have eyes to see and ears to hear and bodies to feel the way that you are, the way that you move, the way that you create. And in seeing and sensing that we will be drawn closer to you, that we will know you as our divine creator. God, we give you thanks for the opportunity, the privilege to live in this county. God, we give you thanks for the challenges that are before us, the challenges that your abundance of rain has brought. And I pray that our city commissioners, our city public works, will be able to handle what is to come. God, give them the creativity and the resources to do the work that is before them. And God, for the meeting today, for the decisions to be made, I pray that your guidance will be felt and will be held to. We give you thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Them city commissioners do need all the help they can get. Okay. Takes us correspondence and organizational business. Anything on today, Derek? Okay. Public comment? Have some signed up. A citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. The discussion is limited to 5 minutes, and the commission will not take action or discuss items at this time. Discussion should be limited to matters of county commission business, and public comment is not permitted in regard to personnel matters or on pending legal matters. Items introduced under public comment may become agenda items at a later date.
David Reeves?
People, wanted to just give you a little update on the tractor show on the Power of the Past. You guys had granted us free dumping, and we appreciated that. And just we had a meeting the other night and kind of got everything together a little bit. This was our second biggest year we'd ever had on attendance. We figured we had between 4,500 people come in. And we had the ones that registered, we had 283 tractors, 143 of those hit and miss engines, and 70 garden tractors. And out of those visitors, the best we could tell, we probably had 60% that was out of county. And so I guess what I'm getting to, like the visitors grant that we got from you guys, or you were involved in, we use a lot of that for advertising. And we advertise all different counties and different states and in national magazines and all that. And but we had on the registered stuff, we had 14 different exhibitors from Missouri, 6 from Oklahoma, 1 Colorado, 1 Michigan, and 1 Texas. So, I mean, we had, for just being a normal show, we had good representation. And next year we'll have the national show. We'll have the Massey Expo in North America. And I think that'll really be a big show. But just wanted to come in and thank you, kind of give you an update of what we had, and tell you we appreciate it. And because that Forest Park down there, that's a big draw. I mean, that is a nice place. We get all kinds of compliments from that. And I know that's kind of the city, but it's still in the county. So just wanted to thank you all.
And Mother Nature cooperated this year
Yes,
also.
it
Thank
did. I
goodness.
mean,
Yeah.
that was that was great. We didn't have to clean it up for the car show guys. So thank
Has to
you.
rain on to them, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Harley? Yeah, I'm not gonna go. You can state your name and address or the question.
Hi, my name's Charlie Brinsicover. I live at 4362 John Brown Drive in Rantoul. A couple of things. In February, I come to the county and I understood that through the winter, this has been a horrible year, rain-wise, snow-wise, and everything else. But in February, I come to the county and I asked him to come to look at our road. He said that he would. They would get back to me, assess the damage or assess the road, and get back to me. That was in February. This is the middle of October, and I've never heard anything. It's kind of a unique road because when I first came out here and I bought the property in '01, we built the house in '04. We spent about $8,000 in building that road and putting gravel on our own. It is a county road, I've been told. The oil company uses it for their semis to go to the tank batteries, my neighbors and that kind of thing. But every time, there's a couple issues. One, we built some really nice ditches, but since 2004, I pay $5,400 a year in taxes. I have not seen one load of rock on that road in 15 years. I've put rock on there myself out of my own pocket. I grade it, I maintain it myself. I do the snow removal. It was graded one time shortly after we moved there, and I asked the grader not to come down there anymore because we had a nice crown to it. It drained off. He come down and cut the crown off and put everything off to the side. So I've maintained it ever since. I don't have a problem with that. My neighbor has received rock twice this year, and they graded it and brought a skid steer out and maintained his own driveway twice. I don't know how that works, but anyway, he's received rock twice this year. Every time they grade Utah, it builds up, it kicks up big rocks, and my neighbor and I usually go after the grader and pick the rocks up, get them off the road because it could do damage to a car or to a tire. The issue is really not the roads, the issue is the ditches across the whole county as far as I can see. I understand that. But it's also an issue of how they grade the roads. Every time they grade it, they cut a little bit more, and the water cannot get off the roads. So I don't know what the answer is. I know that this has been an incredible, horrible year as far as rain and washing and high water and all that. I understand that. But my road isn't that bad, except I have asked for some rock, and I've just never gotten a reply from anyone. So that's my concern. It's not just my road, it's across the county. I've picked up rock out of the ditches, put it back on the road. It's just, I don't know what the answer is, but anyway, that's my concern, and I appreciate your time.
So you're on John Brown Drive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
The other thing is that the oil company uses that road a lot, and they have semis that go down that road all the time. And I've tried to patch and keep the water off the road the best I can. I mow the ditches, and that's another issue. The mower came down John Brown yesterday, which is great, but he didn't come down Utah, and it's starting to look like a tunnel. And I took my own tractor with my own mower and tried to mow the best I could. And I'm always doing that as well. And I mowed part of the curve there at Birch Bend, because coming out of Utah, it was hard to see traffic coming from the east side and from the west on that curve. It's a dangerous curve, but the blue stem was so tall, I mowed it down so that at least you could see the highway. So, anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Kurt Watson?
Yeah, I'd just kind of like to reiterate what Charlie said. I live a little further down the road from him. We're unique situation. It's a dead-end road, so the only traffic is.
What is your address?
4402 John Brown Drive. So I'm basically, you can't go any further past my house. That's end of the line. So from where the county road stops, from my understanding, I've got about 1,200 foot or 1,500 foot of my own driveway to maintain. I know that. That's my responsibility. But to that point, as Charlie said, there's been, in the 6 years I've been there, no maintenance from basically where Utah turns into John Brown Drive. We've kind of assumed maintaining that ourselves with our own equipment, taking care of it, doing the best we can. We don't have any material to work with at this point. In 15 years, there hasn't been anything there put on the road to work with, and it's starting to channel pretty bad. Obviously, we all know there's tons of problems in the county with the roads. We totally know that, but at this point, it's not going to get any better unless we do something about it. However that is, we need to build the road back up. Charlie and I have maintained the crown on the road to try to get the water off, but with, the heavy truck traffic and just us being on there, it's starting to channel out. Kind of like he said about the road grader. I'm not a road grader operator. I don't know how to do it, but they've started cutting the main road, which is Utah, down so low that the water can't get in the ditches, and it's channeling out now. So the ditches are there, but they're ineffective because we can't get water to them. And they keep cutting down, they're getting into the rock shelf there, and that's bringing up these large rocks that, unless we cover that up or do something, that's never going to stop. You're just going to keep eating into that and have large rocks that do damage. There's no doubt about it. We go out there, pick them up by hand, and put them somewhere where we can actually use them, in larger washouts in the ditches or on property or whatever. But, we're doing the best we can. As Charlie said, we've talked to some people about coming out and at least assessing it and saying, okay, yeah, that's a problem. We can do this or we can't do that or whatever. But we just come here to let you guys know that, it's off the beaten path. Nobody drives by it to really see how bad it is, which it's not that bad, but it's not going to get any better, and we don't mind maintaining it, keeping the crown in it. That's fine because the road, it's really a single wide road. A road grader's not probably the right tool for the job. It's going to push everything off to one side, pretty much make it flat, hard to crown. So we don't mind taking care of it. We don't mind putting a little bit of money into it to keep it maintained a little bit. We just could use a little bit of help getting it back to a standard that we can actually do something with. So, but we just wanted to let you guys know of our concerns and bring that to your attention. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. David, you'll get back with him, or?
I actually have a meeting this afternoon out on that road with another landowner,
Okay.
already scheduled.
All right.
Did you hear that, guys? Okay. All right, so it takes us to consent agenda. Items today on the consent agenda, there's no claim vouchers, no tax change orders. So items need considered and approved today are the Franklin County Commission meeting minutes for October the 2nd, 2019, to approve the solicitation of bids for culverts and to approve the solicitation of bids for tires. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second, Janet?
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, takes us to item of business. Our first item of business today is to consider for approval donating funds to the USD 287 Veterans Day Dinner.
Yeah, as you guys know, this is something I think we've done every year since I've been here. It's a dinner they have out there to honor veterans. My understanding, and I don't recognize the man, but the principal of West Franklin is here today, Mr. Anschutz. So if you want to come up and talk a little bit about the dinner, that'd be great.
Good morning. I am Braden Anschutz. I'm the principal at West Franklin Elementary at Williamsburg. And annually, our district has a celebration of Veterans Day, and we alternate those from Appanoose to Williamsburg. And this year it's our honor to be able to recognize our veterans. And like I said in the past, the county commission has been kind enough to supplement our lunch that we have. We'll have a ceremony at the beginning where we'll have students singing and doing some presentations and introduce the veterans. And then after that ceremony is complete, we will have a luncheon for the veterans. And in the past, we have used the money that has been allocated by the county commission for that luncheon, and it's really helped us out. And we appreciate that, and that's my purpose here today, is to ask if we could get that, whatever the county can give to us, we'd greatly appreciate that. We feel like this is a very big honor for us to be able to recognize the veterans and make sure that they get the due that they are that they rightfully deserve. So I'm just, if you would, if you so do, we just greatly appreciate that.
How many veterans do you usually have?
We usually have about 40 to 50 in the past, so we hope to have that many again this year.
I attended this has been a few years back when Williamsburg did host it. I attended one of them, and it was a really good program. The kids did an excellent job of putting it on, and I know that there was a good amount of veterans there, and everybody enjoyed it, so it is a good program. Jan, what did we do last year?
I think we did 250.
Was it 250? Do you know, Brady?
I think it was in 250, yeah.
Like it's been 250 for several
Yeah.
years.
I knew it was 2 or 250 somewhere in that area, so.
That you haven't made a specific request.
No,
Is
that would
250?
be great if we could.
Okay.
Anybody have any more questions?
What day are you gonna do that?
We'll do it on Veterans Day. I think is it a Monday this year? The 11th? We'll do it,
Monday.
yeah, we'll do it on the Monday, the 11th. And also, both elementaries in the district participate in that. So Appanoose will come down and they'll sing along with our kids. And so we cover quite a broad area in Franklin County, not just Williamsburg.
Is that just I guess it's for the whole district then? and
Yeah.
Not just elementary then?
No. And you guys are more than welcome to attend, and you can have lunch if you'd like. And if you know any veterans, please get the word out there. We'll be sending that out. And it does take a little bit. The person that runs the school, Brenda, she does everything and contacts the veterans and does that. So it's very well received in the community.
There's no more questions. We'll look for a motion to approve donating $250 to the USD 287 Veterans Day Dinner.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second?
Second.
Motion and a second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Have a
Brady.
good day.
Okay. Takes us to item number 2, and looks like the star of the meeting today, Larry, will be up. So, approval of rezoning application 1908-1694 to rezone approximately 18.67 acres from an A1 agriculture to an RE residential, and to also rezone approximately 38.46 acres from an A1 agriculture to an A2 transitional agriculture. Larry.
As you've indicated, Mr. Chairman, we do have quite a number of items to go through this morning. The Planning Commission's been pretty busy for the last few months. A lot of the zone changes, but we've also been working with the renewable energy facilities, which I think most of you are aware of. This is a request to rezone approximately 16.7 acres from an A1 zone to a residential estate zone, and to rezone the remaining parcel because it no longer satisfies the minimum acreage for the A1 zoning, so we'll rezone that to the A2 zone. This is kind of a unique situation because this is a kind of an oddball section, and as such, they don't meet the minimum lot length to width ratio for the remaining parcel. They have 517 feet, but it requires a little more frontage in order to meet the minimum 4:1. So they've asked for a design waiver as provided in the county subdivision regulations to accomplish this lot split, provided that the zoning is approved. The Planning Commission has reviewed this and found that it did substantially comply with the provisions of our comprehensive plan, and it met all of the criteria with the exception of the lot length to width ratio for the remaining parcel. But they did make a recommendation to you for the approval of the rezoning, and they have further recommended waiving the criteria under the provisions of our subdivision regulations for the lot length to width ratio on the remaining tract. We did give notice to 12 surrounding property owners. No one appeared for or against this. We would ask that the county commissioners accept the Planning Commission's recommendation and rezone the property in accordance with the actions of the Planning Commission, and direct staff to amend our current zoning map.
Well, it looks like the driveway currently goes through the other property, so they'll have to put a new driveway in.
They actually own it all, so at this point in time, they won't put another driveway in unless, for some reason or other, that one of these would sell, or if for some other unknown circumstances there was a foreclosure or anything, then there would have to be another driveway put in all probability. But they do have the capabilities of doing that because they have the frontage, and they actually have an area where they could put in this second driveway. The thing about these driveways, when you own both parcels, you really can't grant an easement to yourself. So that's why they're keeping the driveway essentially where it's located at the present time.
Isn't the length to width ratio put in to prevent things just like this?
No, it was to prevent subdivisions, basically, like the little subdivision out west of Georgia Road on the north side of 68 Highway, wherein those lots are 135 feet wide and a half a mile deep, but they have 10 acres. So they wanted to create the 10 acres, which was exempt from having to do a subdivision plat. So that was one of the primary reasons that this requirement went into effect, was to avoid creating those which end up being kind of a non-usable situation. In this case, you would still have adequate capabilities of meeting the setback requirements and still have a very developable tract. So I think that was the basis for the Planning Commission's recommendation for the acceptance of this design waiver.
So if they're keeping both tracks, why are they needing it divided?
Refinancing?
For financing, okay, yeah. That makes sense.
More questions? If not, we'll look for a motion to approve rezoning application 1908-1694 to rezone approximately 18.67 acres from an A1 to an RE, and also rezone approximately 38.46 acres from an A1 to an A2.
A motion to approve.
Motions are second.
Second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, Larry's going to be staying with us for a while, so item number 3, approval of rezoning application 1908-1695 to rezone approximately 14.93 acres from an A1 zoning district to an RE residential.
As you've indicated, this is another request for rezoning from the A1, the agricultural zoning district, to the RE residential state zone. The purpose for this is to allow for the construction of a new residence. Basically, again, it's going to be for financing because, as we've indicated time and again, the secondary mortgage market does not like to loan on large acreage. So they want something that's smaller, that's more movable in terms of it being sold in the event that there's a foreclosure on the property. So we see a lot of these. In fact, a number of those will be heard later here this morning. But certainly over the last 5 or 6 years particularly, we've seen a lot of this because of the failures of some of the banking industry in their lending practices. They have now become pretty gun shy of trying to loan on large tracts of land. So we're probably see this continue for several years. Anyway, the Planning Commission did review this at their last meeting. We did give notice to 8 surrounding property owners. No one appeared for or against this matter, so the Planning Commission found that it does satisfy the criteria of our comprehensive plan, our zoning regulations, and would meet the minimum standards for the subdivision regulations too, and have recommended that you approve this rezoning request and direct staff to amend our zoning map accordingly.
Questions on this? If not, we'll look for a motion to approve application 1908-1695 to rezone approximately 14.93 acres from an A1 zoning district to an RE residential state zoning district.
I just have one question before we vote. I missed the opportunity. Did the property owners own north of that red line in that big field?
They own 160 acres. This is coming out of that 160 60 acres there, Roy. That probably is.
I just wondered why they put the red line, or the new property line where they had it.
Well, I'm not certain, except maybe somebody influenced this because of the desiring to set a house back behind that little drainage that comes through there has quite a number of trees and stuff on it. They may have set it back in there for that reason, because it becomes a little more private, I think, because it's setting back then from Sand Creek and from Iowa Road. And I think that's the location that they had proposed for the.
So the house would be on the 58 acres then?
Essentially, and no, the house will be on the smaller tract. The one that's shown in blue.
Yeah. I just wondered if, that's a big terrace field.
Oh, you are on the.
Right, they won't be bothering that portion of it. They do own, frankly, that entire quarter section, but this was roughly not quite an 80 that was taken out, bought separately under a separate deed. That's why you see it shown as a 58. Actually, it's probably closer to 60 because that's calculated to take out the right-of-way for the Iowa and for Sand Creek. So that's the appraiser's net acreage. So when you see these numbers that are indicated on all of our maps, followed with parentheses C, it means it's been calculated to take out the right-of-way so they're not paying taxes on it. What this is appraiser's maps, and that's what we work with on a daily basis.
More? Okay. Now we'll look for a motion to approve the rezoning application 1908-1695 to rezone approximately 14.93 acres from an A1 to an RE residential zoning district.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, item number 4, approval of rezoning application 1908-1696 to rezone approximately 5 acres from an A1 agriculture zoning district to an RE residential estate zoning district.
This again is a request similar to many of the others that we have already addressed, where we're taking out a home site, basically 5 acres, which is the minimum acreage for the RE zoning district, to sell that 5 acres then to a son. You'll note that there are already improvements on this that are shown more specifically on the survey. I think that's part of your packet. Anyway, he will be selling that 5 acres basically to his family member, his son. So again, this has been reviewed for compliance with the comprehensive plan and our zoning regulations. And the Planning Commission has forwarded a recommendation to you for the approval of the rezoning from an A1 to the RE residential estate zoning district.
Questions on this? Roy?
No.
Okay, we look for a motion to approve rezoning application 1908-1696 to rezone approximately 5 acres from an A1 agriculture to an RE residential zoning district.
Motion to approve.
Motion is there a second? Motion is second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Item number 5, approval of rezoning application 1908-1697 to rezone approximately 22.8 acres from an A2 transitional agriculture zoning district to an RE residential estate zoning district.
This is a little bit different because it's in an area that's already been substantially divided. We did give notice to 25 surrounding property owners so that you can tell by that there's already been quite a number of smaller land divisions created here along Old Highway 50, and I think most of you are probably very familiar with this location. The purpose for this is to sell one of the tracts to the son. There's a house already existing on one tract, and he's actually going to sell the other site to his son. He said that his son's already using it, so he might as well be paying taxes on it. But we have reviewed this for compliance with the comprehensive plan. They found that it was in substantial compliance, did satisfy the requirements of our zoning regulations and our subdivision regulations, and have recommended again that you approve this rezoning request to rezone approximately 1/2 acres from the A2, which is transitional ag, to the RE residential estate zone.
Questions on
Was
this?
there already two residences on this?
No, one.
It looks like there's buildings on both sides, or
I think that it's just
drive.
a place where they dump dirt or mess around or something. It's
Yeah.
not a structure on that left hand.
Oh, I see.
He grazes some cows on it. I think it's got a few head of cattle on it, but he's been using it for a number of years. And Dad says, if you're going to use it, you might as well buy it and pay the taxes.
We look for a motion to approve rezoning application 1908-1697 to rezone approximately 22.8 acres from an A2 zoning district to an RE zoning district.
Second?
Motion and a second. Jen?
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, item number 6, approval of rezoning application 1908-1698 to rezone approximately 23.37 acres from an A1 zoning district to an RE zoning district, and to rezone approximately 3 acres from an R-3A, which is a single-family residential 3 acres zoning district, to an RE zoning district. Larry.
In this case, there are two existing residences, one of them being on the 3-acre tract that currently exists, the other being on the large agricultural tract. What the applicant is doing in this situation is adding substantial acreage to the small acreage. In other words, he's adding about 15 acres or so to that small 3-acre tract, and at the same time dividing the other remaining residents out separately and saving the agricultural land, which is basically north of these two tracts. And the Planning Commission did review this. Firstly, it brings everything in more into compliance with the county's zoning regulations. By dividing these out separately, we now have a situation that basically complies with our provisions with the one house on one tract requirement that we currently have in our zoning regulations. Further, the Planning Commission did find that it was consistent with the overall goals and objectives of our comprehensive plan, because it definitely is a step that's encouraging to retain the agricultural land for agricultural purposes. So the Planning Commission has now made a recommendation to you for the approval of this rezoning, to rezone those two tracts, one of them being rezoned from an A1 to the RE, and the other from the R3A to the RE resident zoning district, because it's adding area that now puts it into a different zoning classification.
Questions on this? Okay, would look for a motion to approve rezoning application 1908-1698 to rezone approximately 23.37 acres from an A1 zoning district to an RE zoning district, and to rezone approximately 3 acres from an R3A zoning district to an RE zoning district.
Motion to approve?
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, item number 7, approval of rezoning application 1908-1699 to rezone approximately 10 acres from an A1 agricultural zoning district to an RE zoning district, and to rezone approximately 30.33 acres from an A1 zoning district to an A2 zoning district.
This request, as you've indicated, is to rezone approximately 10 acres from the A1 zone to the RE residential state zone. This was filed by Mrs. Paul. It would be dividing off the southerly 10 acres of that 40-acre tract that she currently owns. It's a vacant parcel, but it is an area that is served with rural water, and it does meet the other criteria of our comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission, after reviewing this, did find that it was consistent with the comp plan, our zoning regulations and the subdivision regulations, and have forwarded a recommendation to you for the approval of this rezoning.
Since over here. Look for a motion to approve rezoning application. Right out here, lost track here. Approve rezoning application 1908-1699 to rezone approximately 10 acres from an A1 zoning district to an RE zoning district and to rezone approximately 30.33 acres from an A1 zoning district to an A2 zoning district.
This is, again, a request to,
He's looking for
I look for the-
I'd make a
Finishing,
motion to approve.
finishing this one.
He's still on the poll. I'd make a motion to approve.
getting ahead of myself.
Second.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. I knew this was going way too smooth, Larry.
Yeah, getting too
Okay.
fast.
Okay, item number 8, approval of rezoning application 1908-1703 to rezone approximately 5 acres from an A1 zoning district to an RE zoning district.
Again, this is a request to rezone to allow for the sale of approximately 5 acres to a relative, to his son, for the purpose of constructing a new home. I think the aerial photo that's attached as a part of your staff report reflects the location and the purpose probably pretty well. The Planning Commission did review this matter at their last meeting and found that it did comply with all of the requirements of the county in terms of our comprehensive plan, zoning, and subdivision requirements, and have forwarded, again, a recommendation to you for the approval of the rezoning and to direct staff to amend our zoning maps accordingly.
Questions? I would look for a motion to approve rezoning application 1908-1703 to rezone approximately 5 acres from an A1 zoning district to an RE zoning district.
To approve?
Motions are second.
Second.
Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes.
And I didn't have questions, but I did have a comment that this is exciting to see this many rezoning, which means we're going to have a lot of new building in the county. And I know the city is dealing with the same thing, so that's exciting for our county, to see new residents coming in and building new residents. I hope you stay busy.
Our building permits have kind of dropped off because of the weather. It's just been hard to get new things started, particularly if you're digging footings and basements with the darn rains and things that we've had. But we are certainly seeing a lot of activity in terms of rezoning to get parcels ready to be developed. I do have the resolutions here, Mr. Chairman. I did want to announce that next Thursday, we do have the renewable energy facilities on for a public hearing. Our meeting starts at 6:30. There are a few items, again, several rezonings and a small subdivision plat that we'll be hearing beforehand, but the meeting starts at 6:30 if any of you are interested.
You said next Thursday. Are you talking tomorrow or a week from
17th.
tomorrow?
Week from tomorrow, 17th.
Just be the hearing, no voting.
It's a public hearing that will be voting if they make a decision to, there are several options available. They could direct staff to make further modifications with this, or maybe they will forward a recommendation to you. I'm not really certain. But they did feel that there was enough information to set it for hearing and get public comments on it.
I talked to Mr. Campbell the other day. I guess Farm Bureau is wanting to have a meeting for us, just their state staff to just share the, I guess, how it's gone in other counties and some concerns to be cognizant of and things like that. I don't know if the planning commission would want that information or just,
It would be nice.
I think
I
it'd be
have
good
given them information from the 13 counties that we've been involved with in reviewing what their results have been. Some of them have basically denied the capabilities of putting up particularly wind energy facilities, and yet they have that information in the packet of what these other counties have looked at and what restrictions or limitations they have recommended. And we see situations where there are counties that are now being sued because they approved it, and other counties that are being sued because they didn't approve anything. So the planning commission is, I think, really taking some middle ground on this, but that all come out at the public hearing. I was a little surprised that at this meeting that you mentioned as before, after your little ring, it's before, but it was not in time to really be before because we've had 3 study sessions now on this, and it would have been nice to have had that at an earlier date.
Is it in November, I think, isn't it? The Farm Bureau one? Isn't it in November?
I forget, he told me the date, but I thought it was, it's a little bit off. I thought, that sounds right. I am. I guess we look at it this way, we'll be able to hear from the public on the planning commission, and then we'll be able to hear from
we
our
certainly
bureau
will.
point of view, but unfortunately, the planning commission won't, but.
It's, there's some irony here in that there seems to be a much greater interest right now in solar energy than in wind energy. And we haven't had a great deal of input other than from the other counties as to what standards that you might want to apply, particularly for wind energy conversion facilities. But the solar, maybe because there are already lands that are being leased with the intentions of that being the ultimate use of that property. So we do, and we'll probably receive quite a bit of information at the public hearing on that.
I'm not suggesting we change the process that's been public and established for a long time to accommodate them. I'd be interested in hearing their point of view and what's factual and.
Right.
Maybe before it comes to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Larry. See you next year.
Well, the results of this next meeting may draw a bigger audience than what you have here this morning.
Okay, item 9. Franklin County Board of Commissioners should elect a voting delegate and alternate delegate for the annual K-Camp meeting to be held at the Kansas Association of Counties Conference on Tuesday, November the 12th at 6 p.m. Janet?
I believe you guys are batting 1,000 for Roy being your delegate for everything for the upcoming KAC conference. So your other 2 that you've appointed for K-Work and for the KAC delegates, you've selected Roy as your delegate and Dawn as your alternate.
So anytime you're batting 1,000, you don't want to mess with anything, that's for sure. So,
Yeah, their meetings at the same time as K-Work, so
You're gonna have to go with someone different.
I'll volunteer to be the delegate if nobody else wants to do it.
You say it's the same time as another?
Same time.
Oh, you mean they're held at the same room, but you're able to attend, okay. all
Same
right.
room.
I wondered
Okay.
how you were gonna be 2 places
I
at one
was
time.
too.
Yeah, same room.
Okay. I'd make a motion to appoint Roy as the delegate.
And we also need an alternate delegate. Would you like to do that at the same time?
Yeah, I don't have an idea for that. Who would,
I think Don would be an excellent
Dawn.
you want to do it?
I believe Dawn is the alternate on both of the other ones.
I think so, too.
And, yeah, for my motion to include Don as an alternate.
Second.
wanted it.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Yeah.
Chair Howard.
Yes. Okay. Sounds like the drought's over, David.
Why, I was getting nervous.
Takes us to staff reports. Derek. Is there anything else? I hate to ask that, but. Sheriff?
The only thing I really have today is that you may see some of our staff wearing these hats around. For any of our staff that's wearing these hats that have the pink ribbon on them for the month of October, all of our staff that has them has made a donation that will end up going to the Cancer Foundation. We do also have these for sale to the public, and all the proceeds from that are also going to the Cancer Foundation. So it's our office as well as the, I believe the Ottawa Police Department will probably be coming on with that, and then Ottawa Fire is doing it as well. But it's just a way for the public safety to get together and raise funds for Cancer Foundation. So right now, all of ours are pink. You'll probably see some other colors as well, because pink is for breast cancer, and then there's other colors for the other cancers out there. And so there's been a kind of a desire to add some of those as well. So just so that you know, that's what we've got going on, and what we're doing, hoping to bring a little bit of attention to the cause and help them raise some money. So, other than that, if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
They be down at your office?
Yes, these are down at our office. You can just go to the front window. They're $20. So,
I don't have a question on this, but I just have a statement to make, because actually I got one of these the other day. I don't know, Sheriff, if you've got any calls about them, but there are some scam calls going on out there. I know several people that's received them. So just want to put out there, be careful if you get one of those. One of them, I think, is the call I got. They're telling you that your Social Security card's been compromised, and you have a warrant for your arrest, and to press 1 for more information. So, yeah. And a couple people called me, asked me about it, and I said, well, I actually got the call too. So I don't know if anybody's notified you, but just put out there, be careful if you get those.
yeah, we have. There's a few of them going around. There's also some fundraising things that are out there where they're trying to use police and fire
I got one
for
of those last
fundraising,
night.
and those aren't. And it's to help our local law enforcement and fire, and so I always talk to them and inquire as to how we go about getting those funds, and then they hang up on me. So there's a lot of them out there.
Just want to be careful on them. So
Yes, sir.
you make a mistake and press 1 or start talking to them, you may have a problem. So, all right, thank you, Sheriff. David?
Okay, so Idaho Road Bridge is open. We opened it last Friday around noon. We got it broomed off a little bit and opened up. We still have a little bit of work to do cleaning up around the site to get that back in shape, but just like throughout the construction of this, we got to let it dry out a little bit before we get our equipment down there. That is one of the major reasons that it took so long for that project to get completed. There's a huge volume of water that funnels down through that area and goes through that particular bridge. And each time that happens, we had to let it dry out so that we could get our equipment down to then pump the water out from underneath the bridge to get it going downstream. We did this numerous times from when we started construction to when we finished, and pumped, I would venture to guess, hundreds of thousands of gallons of water out of there in order for us to do this. So that is the major reason that it took so long, but I was out there numerous times during the construction of it, and I think that our guys did a great job of making those repairs and dealing with the water. Moving on to US 59 in Kingman, there's a lot of activity out there right now. Yesterday they were pouring more concrete on the Kingman Road section of that. They're hoping to have that wrapped up here next week, or the week after. Again, due to the weather, they may be delayed a little bit.
I have a question on that. I've had multiple people, including law enforcement, mention the fact that there's not a posted reduced speed limit on there. Is there something that we can ask them to?
We chatted with KDOT. That was a top. We just had a.
Makes no sense. We're driving on the.
Yep. We visited with KDOT about that. The engineers did during the design and looking at the traffic control for that project, and they did not request or ask us to post any reduced speeds, which is odd to me as well. And checking with the folks out there, they seem to think that for the most part, folks were slowing down and being aware of what's going on around them. That project, so they've got 53 calendar days left. They are hoping to finish the east side and switch the traffic over to the to that side on or before October 30th. And then the west side doesn't have near the amount of work or the obstacles, and they'll be able to wrap that up pretty easily in the grand scheme of things. There shouldn't be any big surprises. There's not utilities and that sort of thing to worry about, and so they remain confident that they'll be able to finish on time. So that's a good thing. We repaired some concrete rails on Labette Road. There's a bridge structure there that during one of the floods, there was some timber that knocked off part of the rail system there. So we had High Plains come in and fix that. They were anticipating High Plains getting started on the Finney Road wing walls that need to be repaired sometime in the next week or so. We're going to have kind of a pre-construction meeting on site to kind of walk through the details and that sort of thing. We will need to close the road for a period of time to handle that project. Once I know kind of what their schedule is, we'll go and visit with the 4 landowners that are just to the west of this bridge and let them know kind of what our plan is, what the schedule is, and they'll be able to go out, go to the west and then south and kind of make a little bit of a loop to get out of there, but we won't be cutting off access to them. As I mentioned, I think the last time I was here, we've continued to have culverts that we find that are either collapsed or have some other sort of issue with them. We discovered there's a pipe on Georgia Road south of Labette that it's a pretty good size structure, but we checked with the ASCS office to find out exactly how much drainage was coming through there and get a pipe size recommendation. So we're going to upsize the pipe a little bit. There's plenty of cover to be able to handle that, but it is a special order pipe, so we're working through the process to get that ordered and get it back in. In the meantime, we've got barricades warning people that it's a dangerous situation. And we continue to monitor that to make sure that there's no danger of it collapsing and causing any damage. Speaking of a collapsed pipe, late yesterday morning, we received a call from a citizen letting us know about a potential issue on Texas Road south of 68. There was they called it a collapsed tube, but when we got out there and investigated, we found that the culvert was plugged pretty extensively with a lot of brush and timber that you couldn't really see from the road. You had to kind of get down in there. And the water had created a void next to the pipe that stretched all the way across the road. And so we had about 4 inches of aggregate that was spanning that void that people were driving over, and we didn't know it. So we were able to break that down. We removed the obstruction to the pipe, dug out that where that void was, and added some large diameter rock. At the bottom, compacted that and brought it up with regular AB3, so that is fixed, and we were able to open back up the road in the middle of yesterday afternoon. So our folks really jumped on it and did a good job getting that opened. That's a haul road for one of the quarries that's down there, so there's tends to be a lot of heavy truck traffic. Fortunately, they didn't have anybody hauling out of there yesterday, so it wasn't a significant issue. But so things are good. You know, I really, and I think I said this before, I expect to continue finding these sorts of issues. We have over 1,300 of these types of culverts across the county. We try to check them on a regular basis, but with these rains and the way the weather is, circumstances change on a regular basis with these culverts. So we are always monitoring, always checking, but again, I encourage the citizens to let us know if they see or suspect an issue so that we can really get out and check that and investigate it. One of the citizens spoke about mowing. He is correct. We are behind on mowing. You know, we've got 2,200 miles of right-of-way that we're responsible for mowing. And this year, most of the folks that would normally be mowing year-round, or at least during the summer months, we had to utilize those folks to haul rock, to assist with emergency road and bridge repairs. We had a couple of them working on the Idaho Road Bridge quite a bit, and the culvert repairs. So we are behind. We know it. We are working hard to catch up. Our plan going forward is to have at least 4 folks, hopefully 5 or 6, in mowers until we've got all the right-of-ways mowed, and that's all of them. And it's just one of those things. Something had to give, and that's one of the things that we just didn't assign the regular number of personnel, and you know, it's rained, so everything's grown all season long, and it does look awful. There are some spots that does look like it's enclosed, and so we're trying to rectify that, and we'll continue to do so until we've got a little better handle on it. We've got all of our both of our backhoes and our track hoe every minute possible out retrieving material from the ditches. Just going to be a long process to get all that taken care of, to pull that material back up and to either utilize it on site or get it hauled away. There are thousands of tons of rock that have washed away throughout these storms, so it's just going to be a bit before we're able to catch up. I'm you know, trying to look at renting another backhoe or track hoe or something to help in that endeavor, but I need to make sure that the budget dollars are there to do that. District 405, which is the area between, it's kind of the southwest district between Pomona and Williamsburg down to the county line. That particular area has significant terrain issues, a lot of hills, a lot of rock ledges and that sort of thing. They've also been unfairly targeted by the Mother Nature this year, and so we've had an additional blade operator or 2 working in that district to try to help get it back up to shape, and we've done that in some of the other districts, and we'll continue to team up. That seems to help the situation, so we'll continue doing that as often as possible. And we're still hoping to do a little patching work with the hot mix before the asphalt plants close down for the winter. There's a lot of need there. Several different areas need needs some more patching. It's on our radar. It's just a matter of having the time and the personnel to go out and do that. So I'm going to be pushing to be able to do some more blade patching like we did before our chip seal project. I'm just not sure we're going to get it done. And if we're not able to get it done with the hot mix, we will utilize the cold patch that we do during the colder months of the year. And then in the spring, whenever the asphalt plants fire back up, we'll get back in and do a more thorough job. And the last thing I want to let you know, I've been working on the changes to our subdivision road design criteria and standards. That is actually a resolution that the county commission passed back in the year 2000. And so I'm making some edits to that and hope to have that on your study session agenda for this coming Monday so that we can look at that. It's a very thorough package of information requirements, and I've compared it to other communities. So I think that for the most part, it's in pretty good shape. There's just one major section that I want to visit with you about and seek your approval to change. So we'll get into that on Monday. And that's all I got.
Okay, it takes us to commissioner comments and board reports. Don, you want to start?
I have a scheduled phone call. I need to step out in the hallway. I'll be back for the
Anything?
session.
Anything on comments?
No.
Okay, bear with me. I got a few things. I didn't think I did, but after I get thinking about it, I did go to the Rantoul City meeting the other night. They're working on a E. coli problem with their wells down there. It's in the wells. They haven't had any sign of it in the homes. Somehow it has to do with the exceptional wet weather and problems this year it's causing they've never had. KDHE sent a gentleman down to help them try and figure it out Friday, and they're going to do a bunch of testing. But they've been able to keep it out of the system. Of course, they used a lot of Rural Water 6, especially in issues when they have problems like this. So they did look at some bids. I've been helping them down there, help them get this grant with the health department, put in new restrooms at their ballpark down there. So we kind of went over those and had a few ADA questions so we haven't issued. We know who the low bidder is, but if he'll agree to take care of the ADA problems, we're going to move forward with that and apply for the money with the health department. We need to be thinking with the KEC meeting this year, Rob Roberts, which is our regional representative on the KAC board, will be going off due to term limits. So I feel that's a pretty important position we need to be thinking about. Probably all of you got a letter the other day that they're, warning us up front that this is going to happen. So we need to keep that in mind. Whoever goes out, or tell whoever goes out if you guys have a preference of somebody you'd like to see, because if there's not a self-nomination, it'll have to be decided. It'll still be decided out there, but if there's no self-nomination, they'll have to figure it out once we get out there if there's nobody's name in the process. So you need to think about that. I have it here. We're just going to do it during commissioner's comments. I have a plaque here from the Over the Road Gang and the car show. It's appreciation of the support of the Franklin County Commissioners. And if you see this year's Hasty Awards, always does our awards. We try to do everything as local as we can, spend all of our money that we can on local people. So here, I'll pass this down for you all to look at, and then hopefully it'll go on the wall. A little info on it. Our numbers were down this year, but it's better than Cornstalk. They canceled it. So, we had 1,352, which I looked it up 8 or 10 years ago. That would have been a record. But, but we're down 600 cars and, under the situation. Downtown still went great. We was in constant contact with emergency management, just like they were for Cornstalk. And we rolled the dice, and Saturday night turned out to be beautiful. And downtown was great, and all of our, people were downtown, your, Cancer Society and all the other organizations. As far as I know, they all sold out of everything they were selling downtown, so that's a good sign. We did the tour bus that we sponsored. First trip down, the brakes went out on it. So Chamber of Commerce was gracious. They brought a couple of vans they brought down until the trolley company got another trolley down there at noon. And so it really still went over well. Still, we handed out 50 door prizes to people getting on the bus to come downtown, if they were certificates to different businesses downtown. I mean, maybe they was only $5 or $10, but it got them in their store. You know, and I got a good report from the people downtown that there was a good flow of people coming in their businesses to eat and buy stuff and do different things. So, like I said, we ended cruise night an hour early on Saturday night. We could have went the full length, but that was the announcement due to the bad weather. We was planning on canceling it, setting it back an hour. So we had in our numbers for next year, we always do early sign up, and we had a record number of people sign up to come back next year. So they're all hopeful that it'll be a little better next year. We even had one gentleman, a little side note, he had to leave 2 hours after he got to the car show, and he come down and asked them at the registration. They don't let them sign up early like that, but he gave them their situation. His wife was in dire, and having a baby, and he had to fly, so they agreed to let him sign up early for next year, and he's only there for 2 hours. He sent us a picture. He had at the club the other night, had a picture of his baby, and had a Over the Road Gang Card Club plaque down beside the baby. So it was pretty neat. So that's all I got. Unless anybody have anything to ask, just Larry's deal. Make sure all your communities are Wellsville and all of them is upcoming. I think it's something the cities, small cities, and everybody around needs to know more about what the county's planning to do on the wind energy and solar energy.
Wednesday I was at the local emergency preparedness committee, and they were talking a lot about the tractor show and the car show, and then the disaster declaration, whether it can still be extended, which they've not, I don't think, got a definite result on that. And then the exercise that will be later this month on the 22nd to the 24th. And then Friday, I went to the Chamber Coffee at the Farmhouse Boutique in the second 200 block of Maine. Had some pretty cool stuff in there. And then the first Friday Forum was a little bit different this time. I had a paleontologist, and it was just like a 70 whatever year old kid out there digging up dinosaur bones, and you can just tell that he's always enjoyed that. On Monday, I went to the City of Ottawa study session. A lot of what they were talking about was Legacy Square and the agreement that they're going to have for the rental of that facility. They also talked about the neighborhood revitalization properties that we have already approved. And then a lot of the time was spent on the RFPs that are going out for the economic development services, whether it still continues to be Main Street or maybe going a different direction. And then Monday evening, I went to the Princeton City Council meeting. They talked about the playground, which they're still trying to finish up, which was supposed to be done in the spring, but with the rain, they just can't get it finished. The main part is in, they still have other things to finish. About the municipal court that is starting up for the little communities around. And this is kind of a little thing that the Rural Water District number 3 actually approached the city of Princeton and asked them if they would be interested in taking over that because they don't feel like they can continue to do it themselves. And then about getting all their roads done, chipped and sealed in town too. So that was it.
One thing I have is, probably David doesn't want to hear this, but I noticed a lot of our hard surface roads were getting pretty good cracks in them. I didn't know if you had a plan to fill those cracks with slurry or something like that.
Currently,
Harley.
to get we got the chip seal roads patched back together. This winter, one of the things that's on my task list is to evaluate all of the hard surface roads. Just met with the road superintendent last week and talked about that. So we will be looking at them, but I don't have hard plans to do anything immediately.
I just noticed Montana's and Sand Creek are both getting a lot of
Yep.
pretty good cracks in them.
I can, well, let me come back with some more information. I don't want to talk out of turn, but in general, we've got to do a better job of maintaining our hard surface roads.
Okay, Monday night I attended Williamsburg City Council meeting. A lot of the same stuff. They talked about their streets and ditches. They talked about the replacing the faded stop signs. He had got a hold of David and he told the council that and that they were working on that. They had a public hearing September the 26th for their street project. They're looking at chip and sealing all their streets in Williamsburg. They're talking about putting a water filling station in town. They tabled that until spring. They built a new shelter house in the park, and they talked about that. They're going to split that at cost with the recreation departments paying half of that, and they're going to pay the other half. Talked about some of the technology upgrades for the city hall. They finished their sidewalks around the park, and they're talking about getting dirt work done around the sidewalks before winter. And they needed the council to approve the moving forward with the bond information on that street project for town. They need to get that done so they can apply for the grant. And they talked about that. And they talked about getting the Christmas lights ready to be put up. Then last night I attended Richmond City Council. They had one of the biggest crowds I've seen them have since I started going. And the reason for that crowd was they've been working on new ordinances and so forth. And one of the things that came out of was possibly getting rid of the chickens in town. And that brought out numerous people. And most of them were chicken owners that were there. So anyway, they set a special meeting for October the 21st, and they're going to just look more at some the ordinances and more making some changes in it and seeing what they can do to work that out. And the meeting will be just to discuss the chickens in town and what they're going to attempt to do. They have an open council seat. They talked about that. They've had 2 part-time clerks working. They talked about going, one of those is no longer there. They're talking about downsizing that from 2 to 1. And talked about rates for water hookups. And they have a lease with the Fair Board, and there seemed to be some confusion on who was supposed to be doing what as far as maintenance on the property. So they talked about that and what the city owns the property. I think the Fair Board thought that they should be mowing it. The city thought the Fair Board should be taking care of it. They talked that out, and it seemed like they worked that out and got that all ironed out. They did want me to pass on, they want to thank the county for their street, the chip and seal. They are really happy with it, and they appreciate that being done. And that was pretty much the extent of that.
Did attend the Food Policy Council meeting Monday. Their mobile food pantry is their biggest activity right now, and it continues to grow. There are over 100 families served now, so they've gotten into the triple digits.
They hand out on Tuesday nights in the Williamsburg area. I don't know if that's the only night it goes, but
Yeah, the idea is really to get food out to places where people are geographically isolated from any kind of good nutrition.
I've been trying to go up there on Tuesday evenings when I don't have anything else going and stand by while they hand the food out. They do it at the library. It's closed, and she told me she'd appreciate somebody being around whenever. I don't know why, but anyway, I've been trying to go up there whenever I have the time to go up there and stand by while she hands out some of the food. And like you said, it seems to be, I've talked to some of the people in Williamsburg that's been getting it, and they're pretty happy with that opportunity, so. Anyway, upcoming things, we have a study session next Monday, next Wednesday commission meeting. We also have a joint luncheon next Wednesday. The county's hosting that, so it will be here at noon. That's all I have right now. We need to enter into executive session. Derek, how long do you think? 20 minutes? I would look for a motion to enter into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss an individual's employee's performance pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter. It will be for the county commission, the administrator / counselor. Have a motion.
I move that we go into executive session.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Oh, for 20 minutes, sorry.
20 minutes, yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Baymeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. We'll go ahead. It's 9:51. Let's take a 4-minute break and go in at 9:55. Okay, we're out of the meeting at 10:15. We're looking for an additional 15 minutes. So I would
Make a
look for a
motion.
motion to add 15 minutes to the executive.
Motion to approve.
Executive session, same reasons, same
reason,
same material.
just an additional 15 minutes.
Second.
Have a motion is second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Be back out at 10:30. Okay, we're out of executive session at 10:51. No action taken.
No action taken.
Would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion is second. All in favor?
All right.
All opposed? We're adjourned.